Hello, hello, awesome humans. When was the last time you did something that was outside of your comfort zone? I did something last weekend and I want to tell you about my dare, what I did, and what happened. So, last weekend, I hosted for the first time ever an opening at my new art studio. This was the first time that I showed my art publicly, that I opened the doors to my art studios to friends and family. And it was also part of open art studios in my building. So, dozens and dozens of people who I didn't know could come in. And it was one of the most important and nerve-wracking and scary things that I've done. And I've done a lot of difficult things because for me, this was really symbolic and really important as a way to essentially come out as an artist. I've built my career first in technology and finance, and then in the last decade as a best-selling author and speaker on transformation and leadership. And I've been painting for about 9 or 10 years, but really quietly. I actually began painting after I had burnt out and had to quit working and was in the most difficult and overwhelming time in my life. And it was something that I always wanted to do, but I never let myself do it because I had this very narrow view of myself as, I'm the tech CEO, I'm the business executive and a caretaker for my family, and art has no place in it. So it's taken me a while to really embrace that dimension of myself, to recognize that it's just an added dimension. It doesn't mean I have to throw away all the other parts of me. And last weekend, to really kind of declare it to the world by hosting an opening at my art studio. Um, it was amazing. It went really beautifully. It was very, very special. Friends, family, members of our community, people from the neighborhood, dozens of people I'd never met came by, and they looked at, I told them about my art. People bought some of my pieces. It was really incredible. And I wanted to share this with you. I'm going to tell you about a really special project I did during it because I learned a lot of lessons. And one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that our dreams need witnesses. That I've had this dream to really be an artist fully. Again, along with all the other wonderful things that I love to do, mentoring people and speaking and doing leadership work. But I've wanted to be an artist, but it's been this dream that has been in private. I mean, I've mentioned it to my family, obviously. There's something very empowering, very, very scary, and very empowering about sharing your dream and inviting other people to be part of it. It's very hard for me. I was thinking about doing this podcast. It's very hard for me to actually put it into words. What shifted now that I've kind of really opened up my dream and shared it with others? But it's like, I feel like I'm not alone in it. I feel like other people in my life are now part of it. It has made it more real for me somehow. And so that was one really big lesson that I learned, is our dreams need witnesses. Another lesson that I learned is, and this is a lesson, this is something I've known, it's something I talk about, but things hit differently when you experience them. I was nervous before we opened the door because I love my art, but I didn't know if it would resonate. I didn't know what the reaction would be. And that fear was there. The fear is always going to be there whenever you're doing something that is new and challenging. But having the courage to do the thing anyway, daring myself to share my art anyway, it made me so proud of myself, and it made me feel, even with the fear, it made me feel more confident in what I was doing. And it kind of brought home something that I talk about a lot. But again, it's when you experience it yourself is different, is that confidence grows through action. Um, it doesn't grow through just affirmations or telling yourself to just do it. Like when you're doing something new, it is natural. It is normal to feel fear and doubt. It's your brain on change. When your brain encounters uncertainty, its negativity biases through the roof, and it starts to think about all the things that could go wrong and how people might not like this and da 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 da. Like it's natural. It's how our brain reacts. But when you do the thing anyway, when you dare yourself to make the courageous choice anyway, you teach yourself that you can. And that is the source of confidence. And so if you ever feel doubt, I just want you to recognize um, it's not a sign that you should stop. It's a sign that you have to take the action that is pulling at you, because that's actually how you become more confident. So these are just some of the lessons that I learned that I want to share with you. But I did something really special at my studio opening that I also want to tell you about. This is something in different formats that I've tried before, but not for a while. And I made this decision last minute. We had kind of set up my studio, and before we opened the doors, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So I set up an empty easel in the center of the studio, and I put some markers next to it. And as people would walk in and walk around, I would ask them, what is something that you want to dare yourself to do? And it was such a powerful question. I have to be honest with you, I underestimated how much it resonated with people. Every single person I asked, the moment I asked them this question, they just kind of dropped into this place in themselves where they started to really think about it. Some people immediately had an answer. It was maybe something they'd been thinking about, but hadn't yet dared themselves to do. Other people had to think about it. They would tell me like, oh, this is an amazing question. Let me walk around and think about it. But for everyone, it became something really meaningful. And then when they had their dare, I would kind of draw it and I would actually write it on this canvas. And then I would give them a box of color markers and have them like make it their own. So they would add color to their dare. And it was absolutely incredible. This Dare Yourself canvas, it just kept growing as the open studios went on and people came in and did their dares, and it like became really vibrant and alive. And what also happened that I don't think I quite understood how powerful it would be is the act of saying the dare loudly and publicly and then adding it to this collective Dare Yourself artwork was very important. It cemented it. It made the dare more important. And the other thing I did is when people would add their dare, I asked them, I said, okay, you have your dare. What is one action step that you can start taking towards this dare tomorrow? And some would think about it. And here's the amazing thing that happened. The weekend of my art opening, you're listening to it a couple weeks from when it happened, but I'm recording this just 5 days afterwards. And I have already heard from so many people telling me how they're taking action on their dare. There was one woman who said her dare was to learn a new language. And this is someone I actually didn't know. She and her husband just came in when they saw the sign. And she said, my dare is to learn a new language. Awesome. We wrote it on the canvas. She added her color to it. And then I actually got a DM from her husband the following day who said she has signed up for French lessons and she's already doing one online. Boom, dare in action. There was another woman who her dare was to be stronger. And for her, it actually meant physically stronger. And the action step that she committed to was lifting weights 3 times a week. And she's now done it for the whole week. Another woman who came was actually a friend of mine and someone I've worked with. Her dare was to actually follow her dream. She's had this dream for a long time. And her dream is actually to do something in women's soccer. And she's had this dream for a long time. She's kind of circled it. And she said, okay, I said, what's your action step? She's like, I'm going to dedicate a time every week where I can start researching different things I could do. And she let me know that she actually blocked half hour off last week and started to do it. And I have so many more of these stories. And the thing that this really emphasized for me is the power of declaring of your dare, of really like daring yourself to do something that maybe you're doubting if you could do, maybe you haven't done before, maybe it's something you've been thinking about it for a while but haven't done. So daring yourself and then making a commitment to actually start taking action. It is the most powerful thing you can do. It is how we change our lives. It is how we create the life you want. The life you want is on the other side of daring yourself to take small actions to do things that are pulling at you, to do things that are important to do to you, to do things that you've been dreaming about. That's your life. And I have to say this again, because I think this is like my life mantra. I think this is how I live my life, is the life you want is on the other side of you daring yourself to take action, to do the thing that's pulling at your soul, to do the thing you've been thinking about, to follow your dream. That's how we create change. That's how we create the experiences, the life we're really excited about. And to see that in action in my studio, and to see it kind of come to life on this vibrant Dare Yourself canvas, it was one of the most special experiences. And I'm so excited because I'm actually going to be hosting these Dare Yourself workshops for companies, for teams, for organizations, where we're going to talk about where doubt comes from, and we're going to talk about limiting beliefs. And then we're going to actually dare ourselves. And I'm going to set up these canvases and have people actually create this Dare Yourself collective artwork as a way to proclaim their dare, to make it public and commit to it. So I'm so excited to be doing this. I'm also working on a Dare Yourself kit for schools, because I think this is one of the most empowering things that teachers and administrators and educators and kids can do. So I'm so excited to share all of this with you coming up. But this was my personal dare. And I am so proud of myself that I opened the doors to my art studios, that I shared my art. I'm so proud of myself that I decided at the last minute to do this Dare Yourself collective artwork, because it impacted so many people in a really positive way that I actually couldn't have imagined, which taught me one last lesson that I want to share with you. And that is, when you dare yourself to do the thing that you really want to do, you create the impact beyond what you can imagine. The ripples of your impact go beyond what you can imagine, because, we all want to have a positive impact in the world. Of course. How do we do that? We do it by uncovering things in ourselves that are meaningful to us, by being honest with ourselves about what we want to do, about our dreams, and then taking action, daring ourselves to take action towards them. That's how you create the positive impact you want to create. Not by planning, not by thinking, not by overthinking, not by dreaming, but by actually taking action. And myself taking on this dare to finally step into my dimension as an artist, to open my art studio to the public for the first time, to start this Dare Yourself movement that I'm so excited about, and create this experience. This was one of the biggest dares that I've undertaken, that I'm still undertaking. And it feels a little scary. It's always going to. If you're doing something new, it's always going to feel a little scary, but it feels true. It feels like I am making choices. I am doing things to create the life that is true to me. That is the life that I want. And I have to be honest with you, there is no better feeling than that. There is no better feeling than taking action to do things that you're excited about, that are truly authentic to you. There is no better feeling. Argue with me on this. As the kids say, this is a hill I'm ready to die on. So I'm sharing this with you because I want you to think about, what is something that you want to dare yourself to do? And what is an action step that you can begin to take today, tomorrow, the day after, to make that dare real? What is something you want to dare yourself to do? And what is the action step that you can take to make it real? This is one of the most empowering choices that you can make to reinvent, to grow, to become the person you're meant to become. And I am so excited to share this with you. I would love to hear what dare you're taking on. You can send me an email, Nataly, Nataly @happier.com. You can leave it in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, put your dare in the comments. What are you daring yourself to do? And what is an action that you're going to take towards your dare? I would love to cheer you on. That's all I have for you today. Dare boldly. I'd love to hear about your dares, and I will be with you for our next episode and in your ear if you're listening, as I like to say, next week. Have a bold, daring week, everyone. Take good care.